Today, we will be analyzing the biomechanical techniques and concepts that coincide with the free throw movement. The free throw is a common basketball shot where the shooter is at a marked distance, 15 feet away from the hoop, with the opportunity to score a point, typically as a result of a penalty in a game. This movement analysis can vary on the size or age of the participant executing the task.
Now going into the key phases and events, specifically the preparation phase, it involves the lowering of the center of mass and letting the external force of gravity bring down the body, but with enough internal torque to make it controlled. The lowering of the center of the mass will lead to an increase in impulse and get to the sticking point. Ground reaction force begins to a decrease due to the lowering of the center of the mass. Now going into the acceleration phase, this is where the body reaches the sticking point and the leg muscles produce enough internal torque to overcome gravity and begin propelling upward. This involves reaching the terminal position where the body is in position that is ready to release the ball. This is where the hips and elbows is ready to extend quickly to transfer the energy provided from the legs to propel the ball. The propelling upward will cause an increase in GRF.
So now moving on to the execution phase. This is the actual release or point just before the release of the ball. The body is fully extended at this point with knees and hips extended. The ankles are plantar flexed to push up off the ground to get that extra push and height needed for releasing the ball. Ground reaction force begins to decrease as the shooter reaches top position. And then finally, the recovery phase. The wrist is fully flexed and now in the follow-through phase. The full flexion gives the ball the appropriate backspin. Now the ankles begin to return to a neutral position slowly, and the core trunk will stabilize so the shooter does not lean too far forward and cause a lane violation. And then the knees begin to bend as well to also help not lean forward. The shoulder stays flexed and elbow extended to maintain that follow-through position. And then ground reaction force begins to return the same amount as the preparation phase.
Now we'll go through the observational lens. Anatomical planes in the axis of movement are the sagittal plane with the movement in the medial axis, and then frontal view and the anterior-posterior axis. The three biomechanical concepts that relate to the free throw include joint coupling, impulse to momentum, and the force-velocity relationship. First, the center of mass is lowered by flexing the hips, knees, and ankles during the preparation phase of the movement. This is very similar to a counter movement jump with the purpose of increasing time to create more momentum to execute the shot. Next, as the body accelerates upwards, the shoulders begin to move upwards while the elbow and wrist angles remain constant. It isn't until the terminal position of the movement that the elbows begin to extend and the wrists flex quickly to thrust the ball towards the hoop. The order of body segment incorporation improves the efficiency of the task. You'll notice as well that the speed of the movement changes from the initial phase to the final phases, moving from slower preparational movement to faster executional movement. This order of velocity is intentional to create more force application at slower velocity only to build up to a faster velocity to properly execute the task.
Overall, the key takeaways we gathered from our movement analysis is the necessity for consistency and intentional movement to create a reliable free throw shot. Free throw shots are typically considered a very easy and simple task in basketball due to them being unguarded shots. However, it's the simplicity of the movement that can often lead to overthinking and minor mistakes that make the shot more difficult. For example, in the recovery phase of the movement, Dylan follows a very similar downward arm path to his upward arm path. This isn't done intentionally, it's an unconscious desire from the body to follow a consistent path due to the task's lack of change. Coaching implications include repeating the movement and encouraging athletes to find a routine to make the shot more fluid and yield more consistent results. The best rehab strategy would be movements that include quick transitioning between a sticking position to a fully extended position like sit to stand exercises or step ups to mimic the free throw shot.